Okay, well, in this presentation we want to look at the field of research on African Sign Languages. So we do not plan to share any results, but we merely want to take a step back and look at this research field, which is rapidly growing in a very fast way, expanding, which of course is wonderful, very positive, and of course at the same time there are some challenges, some difficulties that are there. Well, basically there are two important ones that we would like to address today. So the first one is attached to the sign language situation in itself, and the second one pertains the research population. So who are actually the sign language researchers? Are they hearing? Are they deaf? Are they local or foreign people? So looking at the sign language situation, we see that many African countries have a very rich sign language ecology. So it's not just one sign language, but very often it's more than 2, 3, or 4 that are used, right? So for example, we will see that a country has a school sign language, which may be imported or based on a foreign sign language that was brought earlier, for example, on American Sign Language or French Sign Language. And such a foreign sign language would then adapt and diverge and become part of the local signing landscape. And we can also see that in some countries we see rural sign languages, maybe a village sign language that has emerged locally. And we also see that in many countries we see what is called natural signs or natural signing. And well, for example, signing beard for father or breasts for woman. And very often these signs are viewed negatively, as if they are shameful or bad. And one could wonder, why would that be? There is no need to discriminate against those local signs. Rather, we need to study them, to research them. But of course, this richness in sign language landscape also poses a challenge. It's not easy to capture such a rich diversity. So how can we do that? At the same time, we also see that the attitudes vis-à-vis sign languages influence that set of challenges. And the way people see a particular sign language or form of signing also depends on the perspective of a person, much like the prism of a diamond. Depending on from where you look, you'll see a different thing. So the perspective on sign. Well, a very positive thing about research on sign languages in Africa is that it is rapidly growing, or at least steadily growing, which is very positive. And here on my side you see a list of PhD theses on African Sign Language published by the WOCAL workshop. And actually quite recently the 10th PhD was added by Mary Edwards on the topic of Ghanaian Sign Language and Adam Robert Sign Language. Those two sign languages are used in Ghana. So it's positive to see that African researchers predominate the list, and we also see people who are not African on this list. But what we do see is that the majority of these researchers are hearing, and so there is only one deaf African PhD holder in sign language linguistics, who is Sam Lutalo, as you can see on the list. So there is really no balance in terms of hearing and deaf researchers. Well, the nothing about us without us refers to people working on deafness, but not working with deaf people, and that not being a good thing. So it's a famous slogan of deaf activism, deaf empowerment, So we would like to look at to what extent does sign language research or sign language linguistics follow this slogan. And around the world we see that it's actually a large number of researchers are actually hearing. Although deaf researchers are steadily growing in number, the gap is still very big. And in African Sign Language research, we also see that a lot of non-African researchers are involved in doing research, for example, coming from Europe, like myself. And so that is actually perhaps surprising. We can wonder why, because why there are so few deaf Africans who are involved in sign language linguistics research, because we see that there are many vibrant, large deaf communities in many countries. And this raises the question, how can we change this? And what can sign linguists do to change this?